Welcome to another episode of Ask Cindy Connector Live. Well, hello. This is Cindy, your host over at Ask Cindy Connector Live. Make sure you follow me on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram, and hit that bell icon. Go to Ask Cindy Connector Live over on YouTube. And if you share this very broadcast after commenting on YouTube, you share it to Facebook, I'll gift you a 5-night hotel stay. So today I have a very special guest. In just about half a minute, I will introduce you. So today is National Sons Day. Make sure you go to nationaldaycalendar.com. You could also follow National Day Calendar on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. So Kirsten Howe, she is with the Absolute Trust Counsel. She is my attorney, and I'm very grateful that I've crossed her path. A big thank you to Vyana Chain with Chain Properties for the referral. And so tell my audience your story and also all about your podcast.
Sure. So we are an estate planning law firm, as you mentioned. I've been doing estate planning. I just figured this out today. I think about 16 years, and I was a business lawyer before that for a lot of years. But now all I do is estate work. We do trusts, wills, probates, special needs planning, all of that. And I'm a Chicago native, but I ran away from home and came to California when I was a very young woman, and I've been here ever since.
Well, that's amazing. So,
and my podcast, you asked me about my podcast. Mm-hmm. We do every other week, we do a live podcast just like this on Facebook, and it's called Absolute Trust Talk. And I try to cover topics and have guests that talk about things that I think my clients are interested to learn about. We do a lot of talking about, estate planning, but things that are not estate planning. I talk to financial planners. I talk to insurance people. I talk to reverse mortgage people. I talk to all kinds of other professionals who my clients need to know about.
That's amazing. So let's talk about my story. So my mother went into a nursing home. This next August will be 2 years. And she engaged a power of attorney paperwork from Home Shopping Network. Okay. Susie Orman. So okay. Susie Orman has it's a briefcase and power of attorney paperwork that you can buy through Home Shopping Network.
Got it.
And it doesn't have everything you need as if you were to hire an attorney, for one. And then for two, one of the things we're talking about today also is the current laws of Medi-Cal as a senior. Because a lot of our seniors, especially with COVID and everything, they're on Medi-Cal. So tell my audience all about Medi-Cal, and for those who are utilizing it, if you have income or if you sell your house, what's going to happen there?
Right. So Medi-Cal is a needs-based benefit, meaning you have to financially be in need in order to qualify for it. And a lot of people, when they're like your mom, they start down this path of, okay, now I'm in a nursing home and I'm paying $10,000, $12,000, $14,000 a month. Mm-hmm. They do have money to pay that, but it's not going to last very long. And so what the planning entails, the planning that you would have liked to have been able to do for your mom would be to somehow give her extra assets to family members so that she would become eligible for Medi-Cal. But the estate plan that your mom had didn't allow for that. And that's one of those things that when you work with an attorney who knows these things, they can customize the exact estate plan that you need. Power of attorney has to actually say, it's okay if my agent gives my property to my family members if I need to qualify for Medi-Cal. And if it doesn't say that, you can't do it. So that was the problem, Cindy, that you ran up against. And Another very common problem, which also, is affecting you. At some point, you're in a nursing home and you own this home, which is fine because that's an exempt asset. In other words, you're allowed to own your own home and still qualify for Medi-Cal. But if the home needs to be sold, which, you're not living in it anymore, once the home turns into dollars, that is not an exempt asset anymore. And so now you have $200,000, $100,000 in a bank account, you're not eligible for Medi-Cal anymore. So that's a problem that a lot of families bump up against. And that was one of your issues too. So, what, the point, I guess maybe the best thing I can say to people is if you are in a situation where nursing home care is starting to look likely or possible, talk to an attorney early on, because the earlier you get this set up correctly, the better. Once you get to a point where someone has lost capacity, you're kind of stuck with what you have. And there are a lot of things that can be done. And the other thing I want to say, we talked about this a minute ago off mic, is the Medi-Cal rules are changing. So I said Medi-Cal is a needs-based benefit. Typically, you as a Medi-Cal recipient are limited to the exempt assets like a house, a car, and you're allowed to have $2,000 of, money in your bank account.
Yeah.
They're raising that $2,000 number to $130,000 starting July 1st of this year. And that's a huge change. That's really going to make a huge difference for a lot of people, going to enable a lot of people who really need to qualify for Medi-Cal to qualify and then not have to spend every last penny and become completely impoverished. So that's a really nice thing that the California legislature has done for us. Starting in July, it's not yet. So don't make any mistakes now, but just know that that's how it's going to be.
So that there's not a trust on the home. So tell my audience how crucial it is if you have children that you must put a trust in your home. It's so
Right.
crucial to protect your family.
Yes. So one aspect of receiving Medi-Cal, if you are a Medi-Cal recipient, if Medi-Cal pays for your care during your lifetime, when you die, Medi-Cal expects you to pay them back whatever they spent on you, and you don't know what they spent on you because they're the ones keeping track.
Yeah.
They're going to submit a bill, and your estate is required to pay that bill. So what Cindy's talking about is the bill gets paid out of your probate estate. And your probate estate means the assets that you own in your name on the day you die. Now, if you, as a smart, prudent planner, set up a revocable living trust, your trust owns your assets. You don't own your assets. Mm-hmm. So you don't have a probate estate. So there's nothing for Medi-Cal to get. And so even if you are eligible for Medi-Cal, you qualify for Medi-Cal, you don't need to do any gifting. You need to have a revocable living trust in order to make sure that after you die, all your money doesn't go right back to the state of California. You would rather have it go to your family. And it's easy to do. You just need to set up a trust.
So in my situation, I sold my mother's house, and then I found out that I wasn't supposed to sell her house. So now where it stands, I'm going to pay the back payments, that whatever Medi-Cal and the home, the convalescent home decide. And then after that back pay is paid, and then I'm paying close to almost $10,000 a month. But tell my audience how they can not be in that situation.
Yeah. So the house, the house needed to be sold. Maybe it's a question of timing, but when we have someone who is on Medi-Cal and they need to sell their house, ideally what we would like them to do is to transfer the house first either to family members or to an irrevocable trust, so that it doesn't count when it gets sold. The money doesn't count against the person receiving Medi-Cal. We don't ever want them to end up with a big giant, check in their bank account, because then they're going to lose their benefits and they're going to have to private pay. It's a lot, and it's a lot of money. It's a real lot of money, as you know very well.
Yeah. So my parents' legacy is literally going to be wiped out.
It's going to be pretty much wiped out by the time all of this gets settled. And I will tell you, I've seen that happen to lots of families. And it's unfortunate. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get everything straightened away. If Medi-Cal is any kind of a future possibility, talk to an attorney who practices in that area and knows the ins and outs.
Well, let's talk about the state recovery program. How does that work?
Well, okay, so that's what I was describing. So what happens is when somebody dies, anybody dies in the state of California, the family or the executor is required to send a notice to the Department of Healthcare Services. That's the entity in California that manages Medi-Cal for us. You have to send them, my mother died, here's a copy of her death certificate. And then they look in their records, and if your mother was receiving Medi-Cal, they're going to put a bill together and they're going to send you a bill. And you'll get a bill. It says, $157,000. That's what you owe us. And if your mother had a bank account or anything, anything in her name, that money has to go to pay that bill back. So the goal is to try to avoid dying with assets. It's just that simple. So revocable living trust is the way to go.
So in my situation, though, all the money will be gone. So if somebody was in the same situation as me and they have to pay the nursing home all the back payment, and they're exhausted of their parents' money, what happens with the state recovery program?
Okay. So that's a really excellent question. The same thing will happen if your mom dies. You're going to send a notification. Here's my mom's death certificate. They'll send you a bill, and you'll just say, she was broke when she died. There's no money left. I'm sorry. And then they'll go away. They don't come after the relatives, right? It's only your mom's money that's required to pay back for her care.
Okay.
So you'll be okay, but it's not great. It's not great. It could have been better.
So one of the things I want to talk about is, can you go over the power of attorney, the stat giving, some of the things that people have to watch out for?
Sure. So just to make sure everybody's on the same page, a power of attorney is when you, in writing, give legal authority to another person to take some action for you. And you can most people, if you're doing an estate plan, you do a very comprehensive power of attorney. You give them the power to do just about anything that you might need to do. If you become incapacitated, you need someone who can do things for you. So most powers of attorney do not give the other person legal permission to give away your assets. That's something that we don't want them doing. We want them acting only for us, only on our behalf. We don't want them giving our money away to other people. But if you are in this situation where maybe down the road it will be necessary or desirable to give away your assets, you might want your power of attorney to allow that. You might want, in Cindy's case, her mother might have benefited from having a power of attorney that said, I authorize my agent, Cindy, who's my daughter, to give my assets to family members in order to qualify me for Medi-Cal. That would have helped, because then when the house got sold, we could have given away that money instead of having now to spend it down.
Yeah, so that funeral expenses, eye care, teeth care, stuff like that.
Sure. And but that's a very specific provision in the power of attorney that is not in a standard power of attorney. It would only be in there if the attorney and the family talk to each other and they determine that's a smart thing for this family.
So let's talk about general, let's go into a trust. Like, so if someone doesn't have Medi-Cal, I think this is super important as well. Why is it so important, and what do we need to look for when hiring an attorney?
Okay. Well, we use trusts in California, and they are important because we do not like to have to use our California probate process. When somebody dies owning property, we've got to go to court and get a judge to issue an order. So we have to go to court and say, Your Honor, this dead person owns all this property. Can you please help us? So that process takes an incredibly long time nowadays in California, and it's very, very expensive. So we are always trying to figure out how can we avoid that. And the way we do it, this is what attorneys have developed over many years, is we create a trust, a revocable living trust. It owns your property while you are alive. And then when you die, we don't have that problem. We don't have the problem of a dead person owning property. So it's very important. If you own any kind of property, it could be bank accounts, it could be investment accounts, could be a house. Very important to talk to an attorney and talk about setting up a trust to own those assets so that your family doesn't have to go to court if you die. Exactly. Always want to stay out of court. And I think the second part of your question, Cindy, was what are you looking for when you're hiring an attorney?
Yes.
So I can talk to you. Obviously, you want someone who's nice and you can talk to and you feel comfortable with, but maybe some of the questions that you want to ask is, what is this the only thing you do? There are attorneys out there who do all kinds of things. They do contracts, they do business formations, they do, personal injury lawsuits. And then they say, oh yeah, I do estate planning. No, you really want someone who does estate planning, and that's what they do, because it's a lot. How long have you been doing it? What happens if something happens to you? That's a really good question. I'm going to tell you that I get a lot of new clients who already have an estate plan created by another attorney, but that attorney retired or they died. And now these clients are orphans and they have to go find another attorney and they have to start all over again. So that's a really great question. If something happens to you, Mr. Attorney, is your law firm still going to be able to go on without you? I think that's a legitimate and important question. And then you just want to understand how their process works and what the fees are going to be. Get really clear on the fees. If it's going to be charged by the hour, you want to have an idea of the range of possibility. Is it going to be $10,000? Is it going to be $3,000? What are we talking about? A lot of attorneys, a lot of estate planners charge flat fees, and we do too for most of our clients. So I find that most people prefer that. They don't like surprises.
Okay, so I'm on your website, on your blog, and then also tell my audience all about these guidebooks that they could sign up for.
Oh, sure. So this is my website, absolutetrustcounsel.com, and we have an incredible amount of resources available there for you. It's free. Among the resources, we've got a lot of videos. We have my podcast, we have blog posts, and we have these guidebooks that Cindy was talking about. And in particular, I have a guidebook all about Medi-Cal. It's Medi-Cal, I think we call it Medi-Cal planning from start to finish, or from A to Z, or something like that. And you can just go on there and download it. It tells you everything you need to know. Well, everything a layperson needs to know about Medi-Cal planning. It doesn't give you the information you need to do it yourself, but you have to understand it. You know, you're not just going to hire an attorney and say, go off and take my assets and do whatever you're going to do. You need to understand it. So we have lots of guidebooks. We have newsletters, blog posts. Like I said, just go poke around and see if there's something there that's helpful to you.
Yeah, unlike me, do your research. And if you do have a parent who's in Medi-Cal, definitely hire an attorney.
Yeah.
That has experience in the Medi-Cal law. So important.
Yes. And that's another really good point. If that's what you're looking for, if you're not just looking for straight old estate planning, but you're really interested in the Medi-Cal piece, most estate planners don't do it and they don't know. So you need to specifically ask, is this something that you practice? And look at their website. You can tell from someone's website if they do it or they don't. They're going to say, yeah, we do Medi-Cal planning. So it's a different animal. And it requires very specific understanding of completely different laws than just estate planning.
Well, in closing, let's talk about what we talked about today. So what we talked about today is it's so important to do your research. If you have a parent on Medi-Cal, you want to hire an attorney who has the experience in Medi-Cal. We also talked about the California State Recovery Program and a little bit what you need to know if you sell your house. So just go over it really quickly and we'll close out.
Sure. As she said, if Medi-Cal is your issue, hire an attorney who specializes in Medi-Cal planning. The Estate Recovery Program, it's very easy to get around it, but again, it requires working with an attorney to set up a trust and make sure you do it early. Don't wait until somebody has, dementia so bad that you can't do anything more for them. Just get in there early is what I would say.
And also, if you are a parent and you have children, make sure that you start to look at attorneys right now, because it's so crucial, as you do not want to be in a situation like me, where I actually told my mom for 25 years, you need to put your home in a trust. And before she got sick, about 6 months before she got sick, I told her probably a good idea is either to gift the house to myself or my brother or a friend to protect your assets. So we'll talk about that and then we'll close out.
Right. You want to, if you're the child of someone who's a little bit older, take responsibility and get your parent to pay attention to this, because you know what? It's going to be your headache. If you don't, it's going to be your headache. And if Cindy's mom had been able to do this planning ahead of time, it would have saved the family, I don't know, several $100,000 is what I'm hearing from you. That's unfortunate.
Yes, it is. But this is why I'm here. I'm actually going to write a book, and I want you to put a little part in my book to express the importance on doing your research and getting a trust for your home. And once again, if your parent is on Medi-Cal, make sure that you hire a Medi-Cal attorney.
A Medi-Cal attorney. Yeah. And I really admire you, Cindy, for wanting to spread the word. You're kind of like learn from my mistake. Don't do what I do. I'm spreading the word. I appreciate that. That's really great of you.
Oh, thank you. So do a shout out to your podcast and also your website.
Sure. Absolute Trust Talk is my podcast. You can find it wherever you get podcasts. You just click that purple button on your phone. Or you can look on my website, absolutetrustcounsel.com. All past episodes are there and available. You can pick and choose and listen to whatever you want. And we've got all kinds of other resources there too. So go there, look around, see what you can find that's helpful to you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm very grateful. I'm just another shout out to Vyana Chain for connecting us, because I can't tell you how grateful I am. It would have been a really bad situation if I found out later than I already did. So thank you.
Well, and thank you. Thank you so much for including me here today. It's been fun. And I hope it made a difference to some of your listeners.
Thank you. I'm going to pop you into the green room. If you hang tight for 1 minute, then we'll chat for a bit.
Absolutely. Bye now.
So go to absolutetrustcounsel.com. You could also find her podcast, and make sure that you go to my YouTube at Ask Cindy Connector Live. And if you share this broadcast on Facebook, I'll gift you a 5-night hotel stay. And next on the show, I have my friend Melissa Levine, and we're talking about the Real Raw event coming up in LA the end of the month. So I hope to see you very soon. Go out and make a difference. It's Aloha Friday. Call 5 people today to show gratitude and make a difference every single day. Shaka, baby.